Hello everyone, welcome back to Python beginner series, and our today's topic is Python basic concepts like data types, statements and comments, identifiers, keywords, variables, dynamic typing, user input and indentation. So what are data types? Data types is a classification that specifies which type of value a variable can hold. Now suppose we are asked to do addition of 2 plus 3. So the result would be 5 because we know that 2 and 3 are numbers. If we are asked to do addition of a and b, then a plus b, we would not be able to answer anything. The reason is we cannot add alphabets. The reason we did not answer a plus b was because we knew that those are alphabets. 2 plus 3 was answered as 5 because we knew those are numbers. Similarly, Python also classifies data in various different data types. Like for numbers, it has integer. So let's have a look at the data types Python has. Python has three kinds of data types. First one is basic data type, second one is container data type, and third one is user defined data type. So we will cover today basic data types, that is integer, float, string, boolean, and none type. Container data types and user defined data types will be covered later as we have an entire chapter on those. So to deep dive into basic data types, let's log into the Google Colab. By now you may be familiar what is Google Colab because this was already discussed in first session of this series. So to check with the data types, what all data types are there, and what is a data type of a particular value or particular data, say you can say variable, whatever it is, we have function called as type. So in this, if you pass a number, then it should return you as an integer. Look at this connecting to Python 3 Google Compute Engine. As we discussed in our earlier session that whatever code runs on the Python 3 machine that is installed. See, it returned us as int. Int is nothing but a shortcut or a short form for integer. So this returned data type as integer. So integer is any whole number on real line. Similarly, if I do the same thing for type of 5 dot, then it returns data type as float. So if there is a dot in the number, then it will be classified as float. Okay, next is a string. So if we want to mention any text, okay, any text, we would define it as a string. So anything that is defined inside this single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes would be considered as string. That is, if I write type of hello world, it should give me string. So inside this double quotes, you can use any number, whatever you want, space, whatever it is. If it is enclosed in double quote, single quote, or triple quote, it doesn't matter. It is going to return you as a string only. After that, there is a data type called as a boolean. So boolean would return you true or false. Suppose if I write here 3 is greater than 9, we all know this is false. Okay, and we try to check this, what happens. See, it returned me false. So this is nothing but a boolean data type. If I would have written here 11, it should return me true. So this is boolean data type. Okay, and if I want to check the type of this, it should return me a boolean. Got it? And then there is a null type. If I'm not sure that what is the data type for a particular object, or I want to use a particular object in future, I'm not sure about the data type of that particular object at this point of time. However, I want to define that object as an empty object. So how can I define? If I write something like this, then it will give me an error. If I write something like this, then it becomes a string. So instead, what I can do is I would just define a particular variable or a object, and I will mention it as none. So if I mention this and I do a type of that particular object or a variable, okay, so I would get as none type. So these are the basic data types involved in Python. The rest of the data types, that is container data types and user defined data types, we will come in our upcoming sessions. Okay, so now moving on to our next topic. Let's see. Next topic is statement and a comment. So in our previous session, when I wrote this code, print hello world. So this is nothing but a Python statement. So whatever I have written here is nothing but a Python statement, because this line got executed. Any executable line will be called as a statement. Okay, line, or you can say executable piece of code, will be called as a statement. And what is a comment? Comment is nothing but used for maintaining or enhancing your code. So you can give comment in this code, like I have given. Comments are given by writing a hash in front of any statement. So if you write a hash and you write something, this line will not be executed. You can describe for what purpose the code is, and so that you can maintain it and you can have a track of it. Okay, for this purpose I have written. Now if this code is for data type, then you can write it as data type or something like this, so that when after a few days you open the same file, you understand, okay, this was written for data type, or this was the data type programming session, whatever it is. Okay, so in this way you can mention. So this is for a single line. If you have multiple line, either you can repeat the hash in front of each and every line, or else you can type the triple quote and you can write the message, India is my country, then I love my country. Whatever message you want to display, you can display likewise. So this is not allowed. If you enclose with three quotes, you will have to close the same with three quotes. Now should this error should disappear. Okay, so this is the way to write multiple comments, sorry, multi-line comments. After this, what is next? Let me check in the PowerPoint. Next is nothing but identifier. Identifier is name assigned to a variable function class. So if you want to name anything in Python, then that is called as an identifier. There are some rules to name anything in Python. Okay, we will see those rules as well. So you can name a particular object in Python by writing by following these rules. So rule one is name can start only with an alphabet or underscore. Okay, then rule 2 is rule 2 is name followed these after the first letter, it can be followed by alphabet underscore numbers. or you can say anything, digits. Then the third rule is names can't be keywords. Okay, so if you are naming something, like if you are defining something like this is allowed. Okay, if you define something like this, it a is equal to ram, it will give you an error. See, invalid decimal literal. So you have to strictly follow these rules. What is keywords? We will check now what is keywords. So in any language, there are some words reserved for itself. In meaning that in English, if I make a statement, my name is. So you would say is can't be a name because is a verb. It's weird to have is as a name. So we generally don't use is to name a person. Similarly, in Python, we don't use keywords to name a Python variable or a Python object or wherever we require to use name. Okay, so there are some keywords that are reserved with Python. Approximately, there are somewhere around 33 keywords. So let's see what are those keywords. We need to import. You will understand what is this import and everything as we move ahead in this series. For now, just focus what keywords are there in Python. So I'll try to print those out. Print keyword dot kw list. So let's see if I get something. Yeah, so these are the keywords that are there. You cannot use the exact same name, exact same keyword in a name. I mean, you cannot write like this false is equal to 2. It will give you an error. However, Python is case sensitive. You can write it like this, or you can use false, but with small f. And Python is case sensitive. It doesn't understand that word false is being used. So exact same case keyword can't be used to name something in Python. Okay. Rest all first two rules are applicable, that it can only start with alphabet or underscore, and it can be followed by alphabet, digits, or underscore. No special character, no other keys would be used to name anything in Python. So that's the rule of naming anything in Python. Now moving ahead, what are variables? So variable is nothing but a placeholder, or you can say a container to store a data. Now say a is equal to 2. So here a is a variable and 2 is stored in a. Okay. Now when I do this, a is equal to a plus 2. Then I am actually modifying this variable. Okay, because it will now store the new value of a, that is 4. So if I print a here, print a, and if I print a later, print a plus 2, then it will give me results accordingly, that is 2 and 6. Sorry, I must have printed print a here, not a plus 2. Print a, this result will be 4, and after 4 when I try to print a plus 2, it is showing me as 6, but still a is the same, as this time I did not store it. A is equal to 2 means this operator means I'm storing 2 in a. I'm storing a plus 2 in a. Okay, so it got modified over there. And when I'm printing a, I am actually accessing a. So there are three operations that we did on the variable. First one is we stored some value in a, then we modified the variable, then we accessed the variable. Now, if we want to take user input, using the variable, then instead of defining a is equal to 2, we will allow the user to input the entry. So we'll take two variables for the addition of two numbers. So here a is equal to, or maybe we can, instead of two numbers, we will take a is equal to 2 as a string. By default we use string in the input method, so we will use input method to take string as a variable. Okay, so this input method will allow user to input whatever data they want to, and what we want to display is a plus b. Okay, now let's see what happens. So it is asking for a value of a. I enter 2, I press enter again, I enter 4, I press enter. It gives me is 24, because by default input method takes input as a string variable. So even if I have entered numbers 2 and 4, it is taken it as 2 as a string and 4 as a string and concatenated it to 24. If I want the result to be as a 6, I will have to typecast this default input variable that comes as a string into an integer. So this is how we typecast it. We convert this string variable that is by default into integer, and now we will get the expected result. Because we are entering 4, it gets converted into number 4. It entering 2, and we get the result as expected, that is 6. Now this is how we can take input from the users, because hard coding we will not do it always. We will have to give user a flexibility, because ultimately whatever code we will develop, we'll develop it for the user. Okay, and the last concept for this session, no, not the last two concepts. What is dynamic typing? So dynamic typing, again, when I do a is equal to 2, when I do this, when I write this, a is equal to 2. Okay. Did I mention anywhere explicitly that a is an integer? Python recognizes it on itself that a is an integer. I did not mention anywhere that a is an integer. So this behavior of Python is called as dynamic typing, because it identifies the data type dynamically. Dynamically at runtime instead of compile time. I don't have to mention it explicitly. In another other languages, we will have to mention integer a first, that is the data type first, and then we have to type a is equal to 2. Only then it understands that okay, a is an integer. So that is called as static typing. So this is static typing against dynamic typing. Now the indentation part. Indentation parts, as we progress, we will come to know more about indentation. For now, just remember that indentation refers to the spacing at the beginning of line. I mean, if I'm writing a code like this, and I just use tab, a is equal to 2, something like this, okay, and I run it, it did not give me any error. But again, if I write a is equal to a plus 2, see, it gives me indentation error, because my content is not properly indented. That is, it does not determine any hierarchy for a program structure. So the spacing from the left should be proper, a is equal to a plus 2, and then it should be aligned properly. There is no block. It is pretty straightforward code. So it expected the a to be below this upper a. Okay, this a is equal to a plus 2, exactly below this. So if I unnecessarily give white spaces at the start, so it will throw me an error that indentation expected ident. So I need to align this properly. That is all about indentation. So I think we have covered all the topics for today. That is data types, statements and comments, identifiers, keywords, variables, dynamic typing, user input, and indentation. That's it. So that's about session 2, and we will meet in next session with the new content. So thanks for watching. See you in the next session.